Well, the answer is it's very possible. The World Building Standard recognises new build and also refurbishment. So there are three categories which depend on where you're at in that cycle, whether you are building or renovating or just building to shell and core. So refurbishment is very much recognised. Of course, it's very important as we regenerate existing property stock, the recycling of existing property can be done. I think one of the reasons perhaps why it hasn't taken off so much so far is because there is a cost element to it, and of course owners are always looking at the value add, the benefits, and we've had a lot of anecdotal evidence so far in the office market that actually there is a value to this. We've seen even speculative developments attract higher rents. I think this is the Porter building in Slough, there's some evidence on that. So there is certainly value add for retrofit, and in the office market we're seeing it perhaps more than in the hotel market. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, air is actually the biggest module in the World Building Standard version 1. We're now actually on version 2, but I mean, I think that, there are varying degrees, and often I'll get people who come to me and say, well, we'd like to do a lot of this, but we don't want to go for the certification. The certification costs money, but in my view, it's a bit of a false economy doing that, because actually you need to go through with it, and once you get close to that sort of budgetary figure, people will pull the plug, and then you end up with a sort of halfway house that doesn't really achieve what you set out to do. That's not always the case, but can often be the case. So if you're looking at air quality, you're looking at certainly HVAC systems, air conditioning, filtration. You're looking at, on a refurb, quite involved procedures to avoid what we call construction pollution. You're looking at certainly behaviour, so you're looking at the cleaning materials that are used, very important, toxicity of cleaning materials. You're looking at things like smoking bans, but not just not just smoking outside, but within a reasonable distance from the building as well. So these things are actually carefully looked at. So there's quite a lot, but I mean, if you've got an old, outdated system that's A, probably not that hygienic, and B, not that efficient, you may need to look at replacing that. I mean, the alternative might be some form of air purification system, portable, and a lot of interesting products out there now, but I don't think that would qualify for the standard. Well, it's a good question. I mean, the whole area of biophilia has numerous health benefits. So we'll see live walls typically in a lot of buildings around central London now. In fact, I was actually in a lift last night at the Exhibition Hotel on South Kensington. They had the first biophilic lift I think I've seen. I'm not sure whether it was live or not, but certainly the effect was very interesting. So I mean, these introductions of nature in the built environment do a number of things. So first of all, they can clean the air if the plants are of a certain quality. You can certainly have an air purification element. They can have a nice design element. And thirdly, they can actually make us relax. This idea of the brain shifting into alpha waves from beta waves, beta being everyday state of alert. This idea also of attention restoration theory, where if we're concentrating, we're very busy on something, we take a break, we look at a plant, the brain actually recovers more quickly. This is well known. We now have the benefits of hundreds of scientific studies coming out all the time, which show us that in fact bringing the outdoor environment inside is hugely beneficial to us. Well, I mean, interestingly enough, there have been some sort of pilot projects with some of the bigger hotel brands, Staywell, Marriott. The standard as it was originally envisaged doesn't immediately fit hotels because it was very much more about behaviour of employees. If you're an office building, 50% of the metric is to do actually with the behaviour of your staff. So, things like fitness activity programs, what kind of food they're eating, what sort of sickness policy, paternity policy that the company has. So you need HR in the room. Apply that to a hotel, you have a slightly different dynamic, obviously. And you also have the dynamic of your staff as well within that building, as well as your guests. So there's a differentiation there for any hotel company. I mean, certainly I think for rooms to qualify, or for the building to qualify, you would need to certainly look at all those metrics in terms of, the lights. Light's going to be less of an issue than it is in an office where you've got electronic glare and you've got solar glare. But you're going to have to look at air quality, light, the quality of the water, the design, and then what kind of food you are serving. So nutrition will be a factor within that. Whether or not you're offering fitness activities as well will be a factor.
And do you think that the hospitality industry in general is aware of the whole well-building movement, or is sufficiently aware? How do you see things evolving over the next 3 or 4 years?
I think they are aware of it. I think there's been a certain amount of lip service to wellness, frankly. I've written obviously for your publication before about the disingenuous offerings out there. Everyone's saying I'm a wellness hotel when all they're doing is offering a shower that changes colour and playing some well music. It's frankly ridiculous. But yeah, this is here to stay. Government have introduced a white paper on healthy buildings and healthy homes. Legislation may be the driver that really makes the change. But certainly the hotel brand, the big brands are looking at it. They published a paper, I think the year before last actually, Hilton, IHG, Accor, a couple of other brands talking about the business of being well, I think it was called. Each of them having their own pillars of wellness, some of them more to do with sleep, mind, again nutrition and fitness. So they are looking at it. But let's be honest here. For the brands to really embrace this, they need to spend money. And because of the structure of hotel operations at the moment, it's the owner that's having to put in the capex at the beginning in a lot of these situations, and not the brands. So the brands are sort of in quite an enviable position of operating, not necessarily having to spend the money, so they won't. If you're an owner-occupier, you have an opportunity. It's going to be the independents that really lead the march on this. Also, you've got brand standards as well. I mean, I've had some off-the-record conversations with some very senior wellness directors of brands saying, we wanted to do this on our next project, we got it to board level and we were told we couldn't do it. So I think there's a long way to go. I think as a differentiator, it could be that differentiator that gives you the standout factor from another hotel, but we've got a long way to go.